All right, today's lesson is section 7.7 and it's special products. Today's lesson is very similar to 7.6, which is multiplying polynomials, because that's exactly what we're going to be doing again today. There's just special things that can happen, and if you remember those special things, it could save you a lot of time. If not, just proceed using FOILing or the distributive property like we've done before, and you'll still get the same answer. So the first key concept is the square of a sum. So when we have the square of a sum, it's going to look like this, okay? That's why it says the square of the sum, because I'm squaring a binomial that has addition in it. So what that means, just like if you had 5 squared, that would mean 5 times 5. You take that number times itself. You do the same thing for this binomial. I'm not just squaring the A and squaring the B. We don't do that. I'll be very sad if you do that. We have to write that binomial twice, multiply it by itself. And if you're thinking, well, Ms. Haggard, that's what you told us to do last week or the beginning of this chapter, here's the difference. If I had, or we had expressions like this, and maybe the 2 wasn't there, see how inside of here everything's being multiplied together. That's when every term got the exponent. Notice the difference between the two. Okay, so please be very careful with that. All right, so whenever we have them, we multiply them, you FOIL like normal, and you get that. You will always get a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. That's the shortcut if you can remember, anytime you're squaring a binomial. If you can't remember that, that's fine. Just FOIL it. The more you do it, the more you'll remember it. All right, so let's take a look at our first example. It's 7z plus 2 squared. So that means 7z plus 2 times 7z plus 2. So then when we FOIL, I get 49z squared plus 14z plus 14z plus 4. Combine our middle 2 terms again. So 49z squared plus 28z plus 4. Okay. Same as yesterday. All right, so take a moment, try this your turn, and then come back and check your answer. Okay, so hopefully you got 9x squared plus 12x plus 4. Okay, now difference of squares. Notice it's the same exact thing except there is a subtraction symbol in between. The only difference is now is I have a subtraction symbol in front of my 2ab. Okay, again, FOIL like normal. No need to sit and memorize something else. If you do, like I said, just saves you some time. So I'll show you the shortcut here. So if we know it's a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, if my a is 3c, that means I would have 3c squared minus 2 times 3c times b, which is 4, plus, sorry, that's a negative 4 squared. There we go. So we would get 9c squared minus 24c plus 16. Okay? I feel like that's just as much work as if we would go through and FOIL them like normal. It's when you get into Algebra 2 and you're learning different ones with larger numbers and you're doing the sum and difference of cubes. That's where this really starts to save you some time. So if you notice there, we got the same answer, regardless. Okay. So again, pause the video, try the next your turn, then check back and see if you got the right answer. There we go. We get 4m squared minus 12m plus 9. All right. Moving right along, only two more examples. Example 3 says write an expression that represents the area of a square that has a side length of 2x plus 12 units. All right, so area of a square is length times width, but you're thinking, oh, they only gave us one side, but guess what? It's a square, which means all sides are the same. So this is going to be, I believe it's 2x plus 12, yep. 2x plus 12 times 2x plus 12. So we get 4x squared plus 24x plus 24x plus 144. So we get 4x squared plus 48x plus 144. So that's the formula, I'm sorry, the expression for the area of the square. Again, try the your turn, same type problem. Hopefully you got 9x squared minus 24x plus 16. All right, one more key concept. It's the product of sum and a difference. Okay, so pretty much we call this difference of squares because there's a special thing that happens when I have difference of squares. And what we mean by difference of squares is, notice here, I have an x plus 9 and an x minus 9. When that happens, something special happens each time, okay? Your middle two terms that we typically combine together will eliminate each other because one of them will be positive, one of them will be negative, and when you combine them, you're going to end up getting 0. That's difference of squares, okay? Again, not something you need to memorize. Once you do this enough, you'll just start to realize, oh yeah, that's difference of squares. These middle two terms are going to cancel. I pretty much square the first term, square the last term, put subtraction in the middle. Okay, but I'm going to go through the process. That way you can see what happens and that they cancel. So 9d times 9d is 81d squared minus 36d plus 36d minus 16. So now look at my two middle terms. We combine them together like always, but this time when I combine them, negative 36 plus 36, well, they just cancel, and I'm left with minus 16. So notice how if I took 9d and squared it, I get 81d squared. And if I took 4 and squared it, I get 16. And since it's difference of squares, there's a subtraction in the middle. Okay? So last your turn, multiply those two binomials together. All right, so for the last one, you should have gotten 9y squared minus 4. Right, if you guys don't have any questions, you are free to start your homework.